Thursday, January 10th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Fike?
Here.
Commissioner Buttry? Commissioner Ramsberg?
Here.
Commissioner Cares? Commissioner Gordon?
Here.
Commissioner Grand? Commissioner Stauffer?
Here.
Commissioner Perlman?
Here.
Commissioner Schuler?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on the agenda, we have approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes or want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The approval of the agenda has passed. Looking at the next item, which is approval of the minutes, let's take a moment to review the minutes from the December 6th, 2018 meeting.
This is the slightest of slightest observations, but on page 3, it looks like as the meeting reconvened, that it just needs to be seconded by Commissioner Cares that the meeting reconvened. There's some word that's fallen out of there.
We're at the space B, with something, a mistake there. Thank you, Nelson.
Any other changes?
Nope.
Okay. Does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Is there support?
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is public commentary. I do see some members of the public. Does any members of the public want to comment?
Yeah, let's embarrass him.
Okay.
Can we get the young person to come up and speak?
Go ahead.
Oh, only if you want to.
Yeah, do it.
I'm Ryan Hughes, and I just wanted to talk about, I'm going to be starting to have a public affairs radio show on WCBN 88.3, and it's going to be on Friday nights at 8. And we're going to have the first one on the 18th, and it's going to be about the Greenbelt. So it'll probably be a half hour of talking about the upcoming city council agenda, and then a half hour of like speaking with some guests. And the guests, Robert Gordon, you're going to be there.
I'm not.
Oh, you're not? I thought you said you were going to
I'm
be
out
there.
of town on the 18th for the Women's March in Washington.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I thought you said you were going to be there. Anybody else want to come?
You'll have to find a backup speaker.
Yeah.
I can come. I'll do it.
All right. Cool.
And what time was that?
8 o'clock Friday
8
night.
o'clock? Okay.
And Chip Smith, we're going to haul him up there and have him explain his surprising vote from the city council.
What you do that will be available to be heard again in the future? It'll be available to stream at some point in the future?
What's up?
I'd like to hear this,
Oh,
even though I
yeah.
won't be in the area at that
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
How does one hear this later?
Yeah, I'll make sure there's a way to do it. I haven't set it all up yet, but.
Oh, we can stream it after the fact? Or
Yeah.
listen to it after the fact? Great.
Mhm. And so, let me get your contact info before I get out of here.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Let me see if I have something to write it down on.
Thanks, Ryan.
Can we force this young person, the student in the back? If you're willing, don't feel pressured, but we'd love to hear who you are and what brought you here this evening. If you wanted to step up, is that all right? Thank you. There's about 1 or 2 of you every month that is forced into this grueling.
Well, hi, I'm Mary. I'm a student at Huron High School, and I'm in AP Government. So we have like a assignment that you have to complete in the semester and attend like a public hearing and just sort of like take notes on everything and then like write like a small report about it.
Great.
Cool.
Great.
Great.
Thanks for coming,
Thanks for
Mary.
coming.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. And did you get your contact info?
I need something to write it down on, but I can get that in a moment.
Okay. Just want to make sure before we go into closed
Yeah, I don't have
session.
any cards with me at the moment, unfortunately.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is old business, and we don't have any old business. The next item is new business. Does anyone have any new business to discuss? Okay. And we do have, actually, this is under new business. We have a new Greenbelt Advisory Commission member, Sheila Schuler. So if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Sheila Schuler, and I am a lecturer and staff. I have a staff position as well at the School for Environment and Sustainability, formerly known as the School of Natural Resources at U of M. And my role there is primarily teaching ecology. My background is in plant ecology. I did my doctorate work in ecology and evolutionary biology at U of M, and have taught at Eastern, and then moved to teaching here at U of M again. And is that enough, or interest in the GAC? You want a little more background? Sure. I'm interested in both seeing a public process and being a part of this effective public process, but also bringing this understanding to the students in the School of Natural Resources and Sustainability, because I know that the master's project in the past has been informative to the Greenbelt, and I think connections between academia and public process is important.
Great.
Welcome.
Yes, welcome. We're glad
Pleasure
you
to be
joined
here.
us. Okay, next item on the agenda is the staff update. Remy, our new Greenbelt Advisory staff person.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thanks.
You were here last month, but I was not, so.
Yeah, and Emmy
Welcome again.
was kind of coaching me along, but thanks again, good to see you all. I'll keep this very brief, just to let you know that we're coordinating with all the Greenbelt RCPP partners to get it launched. We have received it and it's in place, but there needs to be a formal public announcement of the RCPP made available to the public with a 30-day application window, in which landowners can then submit applications to the Greenbelt to be considered for the Greenbelt RCPP. So we're putting together the public announcement with city staff, going to get it through some of the media channels that they feel are relevant, and we'll target the landowners that we're hoping to work with, and then get that message also out to the partners so that they can push it through their networks, and we can accept the first round of ASAP-AL applications through the Greenbelt RCPP in this first Q1 of 2019.
Great.
That's it.
All right, thank you, Remy. Something that I learned recently that I wanted to mention is that at Monday's City Council meeting, that the City Council did not approve one of the recommendations from this committee, and so that's all the information that I have about that, and so I encourage you to contact, you commission members to contact, and the general public to contact your city council members to find out where they stood on the issue and why they voted the way they did. Yes, Julie, if you have information to share,
sure.
That would be great.
So that agenda item was the last. It was the last thing we voted on at the end of a late evening, and the way that the vote went down was very surprising to me, because not very many council members spoke about the issue. And usually if you're going to vote against something, typical practice is to say why you're not going to vote for something before you vote no. So we had one council member who often, if it isn't over a 50% match, has an issue with that, explained that position, so that wasn't surprising. We had another council member who Ryan alluded to, who is having, it was more of like a protest vote because of the lack of density in the city, and feels that the idea of the Greenbelt was, and preserving land outside of the city, was predicated upon building up within the city, and is seeing a lot of evidence, for example, the passage of Prop A against that. So, but I don't think that council member's intention was to actually have other members vote down Greenbelt properties. And then we had one council member speak in favor of of it. So typically in those situations at, 11:15 at night, I just keep my mouth shut and let it flow. And that is not what happened. So I think it was 4-7. So it was quite a few members that didn't vote for it. Those in favor were myself. Yet again, supporting my Third Ward, Best Ward philosophy, the Councilmember Ackerman from the Third Ward, Mayor Taylor, also from the Third Ward, and then Jeff Hayner. So, who's the other Park Advisory?
He's Ward 1.
He's Ward 1.
My ward.
From Park Advisory Commission. So, everyone else voted no with no explanation, and certainly has been on my mind to also reach out to some of those folks privately, and I can't really ask more than,
Right,
well, I
because
guess the vote's over. So I don't know, I guess I'd have to seek permission from the attorney to speak to all of them who voted no. But I do intend to reach out to at least a few that were particularly puzzling.
Right,
to me,
because as
and
I
do-
understand it, this is the first time in the history of the Greenbelt Advisory Commission that a property has been turned down by
Yes.
council.
And it wasn't even close. And that's
Do we
just,
know which property it was?
but it was one that was under, one of our grants.
It was
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
that had already been awarded.
Right. So, I mean, that, and I think with some newer members, maybe they don't
Understand that
understand
we're
the history
leveraging the
of-
dollars
yeah.
of the RCPP
Right,
program.
and then it was but honestly, there have been a lot of, I have said from the beginning with this new council that I am unable to predict how things go and so forth. This is just another example of that. In the past, I could pretty much tell you how it was going to go, and I'm still learning things. But I do want to apologize to this group. I feel like typically I've just never had to advocate in that way. And if I had heard more no's, I certainly would have stepped in and advocated for the property and tried to explain the history. But being as complex as it is, typically that time of the evening is not, with a closed session ahead of us, that wasn't really, what was welcome.
Were multiple properties up for recommendation and only one was?
No, it was just the one.
Okay, so it was a one recommendation to council
Yes.
and that was one vote, okay.
Yeah.
And was this maybe the first Greenbelt property that's come before the council since the new?
I don't think it's is it the first?
With the new
I thought there was one
council
other, I
makeup.
thought there was maybe one other one.
I'm not
but,
sure.
Okay. That was just my question. I was curious if it was multiple properties and
It's
one
an excellent
did not,
question.
or if it was one that then was struck down. So it was one that was struck down.
It was just one. I think it definitely makes sense to get a sense of where some of these members are at before we bring other ones forward, for sure.
Right.
And what happens from here with respect to the property in question?
Do you want to step up?
Yeah, I think it's a good question.
We have contacted the landowner to let them know what council's decision was. And then moving forward, I think there's just discussion that's yet to be had on next steps, if there are any.
And I'm hoping that, maybe we can reach out to city attorney and find out, sometimes even when things get voted down, they can be brought back at a later date or, maybe if, I don't know if it's substantively different, if like we were to go back to the landowner and say, ask for like a small contribution, if that changes the, or if there was just something that materially changes the actual.
Yeah, that's why I think we need more
proposal.
information from
Yeah,
the council
sure.
members
Yeah.
about why they voted against this
Yeah.
and this particular property and why in the first time, this is of the makeup of this committee that this has happened.
Yeah.
So,
Well, two of the no votes were in my ward. I'm obviously going to reach out to them immediately. We might try to, I don't know what we can do between now and the next meeting besides maybe report back to Remy information that you can then share broadly with everyone about any reasons that were given, and then maybe in the interim, try to figure out if there's what possible next steps there are. Because obviously, yeah, that this has never happened and shouldn't happen. Yeah, it's really deeply concerning.
Right, and Julie, do you recommend that the next time that we have a property up for consideration to council, that perhaps one of us attends the meeting to speak about it, or do you think that would assist in providing more information to council?
I do. I mean, I would hate to make these usually come up at the very end of the meeting. So there is, the reserved public speaking time at the beginning of the meeting where you can speak, within the first half an hour of the meeting, 45 minutes. And so, sometimes staff is or it doesn't have to be Remy, it could be, Derek Delacourt from Community Services might want to be there next time. I think we should find out the reasons. I think we do. We just need more information.
Right.
And then what's going to be effective. But advocacy is, I think reaching out to, the council members who voted no, and especially those who didn't explain why.
Right.
Is
we have a
is
millage
fair.
in place, and we
Yeah.
recommend how that should be spent.
And it is, I do understand the complexity of it, and not understanding the history of a previous council had approved this grant process. But we've had other times where there hasn't been a lot of deference given to policies passed by previous councils that we've seen in the last couple months.
How many of the voters were new?
Yeah.
Because it might just be helpful to have Remy come and do a basic presentation.
Yeah.
This is what the program is, because we might be assuming a level of knowledge that might not have been there.
I think
for
that's
new people.
fair. Was it part of, maybe with the new staff turnover, it didn't make it into new council orientation? That would be a good thing to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was definitely intent to do a Greenbelt orientation for new council members, but with the changeover, it's been something that we were looking at this year, first quarter.
Sure.
But I guess we just didn't get to it in time.
Yeah. Well,
Great idea.
maybe put it to the top of the
I'm
list.
not familiar with how much information can go with a recommended property, but are there certain criteria that are provided that show that it meets the original mandate, or can you provide additional criteria with a property
Generally, I
recommendation?
think we provide the percent score out of the Greenbelt scoring system that it earned, and then also that score's place in the percentile of all previous Greenbelt or open space applications. So there's a general sense of where it falls in the mix.
I wonder if a lot of the language around the library city parking lot acquisition was the worry about funding it, and if there was a confusion that somehow there's funding of maintenance of Greenbelt properties, and that made people wary about acquisition of a Greenbelt property because there's some kind of additional funding that's required after acquisition.
Yeah.
There's some confusion.
I don't know
with
if
new
that was
voters.
brought up at council.
It did come up in the conversation that, that even though it looked like a 50-50 match on the surface, that when you factor in, closing costs and whatever the actual percentages are really, more like 60-40 was the was the argument against. But it's very unusual, like I said, to vote no on something and not say, heads up, this is why I'm voting no on something.
Robert, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I promise you that for the next 6 months or so, I'll be attending every city council meeting, and I will speak at the beginning if Greenbelt acquisition is on the agenda.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This particular deal was the,
Are you looking for the landowner's name?
yes,
It's Lepkowski,
yeah, okay, there you go.
75 acres in Northfield Township, about 1 mile from a pretty significant block of already protected Greenbelt land. So in terms of the strategic plan building 1,000-acre blocks within the farmland complexes, it had a case for being one of those additions.
Right, and Northfield Township is, they don't have a program, a millage in place for land preservation, but they are becoming more active in wanting to preserve land in the township. They have started a land preservation commission, as I understand it. So things are happening there, but this is rather unfortunate, in my opinion.
Remy, you don't know offhand what the score, how it scored or what its percentile was?
Top 40%.
Somewhere in the 40th percentile, I believe, which in the range of projects that have been approved is not necessarily the lowest by any means,
Right.
nor the highest, but it's within a range of average, most certainly. And then with Greenbelt match secured since the beginning of the program, on average, we've secured 49% of funding for projects. Sometimes that's been as low as 10% match, sometimes as high as 75%. So there's certainly a range of match secured for project by project, depending on what's available, whether a township has a millage or not, and depending whether it qualifies for ASAP ALE. But on average, we're working with about 49% per project.
It's also one of the bigger ticketed acquisitions we've had in recent years, almost $500,000.
And Washtenaw County was asked to participate, but they had declined.
Procedurally, and I should have thought to maybe do this, but it would have been the second time that I did it that evening. People who do vote no on something can bring it back for reconsideration. So that is a request that you could make of those who voted no.
Something that I think will be important to share with council members is that in some of our recent meetings, we have sent back a number of applications for clarification to check data and ensure that the information is correct. And then most recently, we did not pursue a recommendation on an application because it didn't seem to meet the requirements that we were setting out. So the filter that this body is using is very much active, and what is going in front of them is very much in tandem with a lot of other coordinated funding. So I think sharing that filter that we have already established will be just a good reminder for council members.
It's building on that. Thank you. About the funding, this was a project that qualified for the Huron River RCPP funding. The Greenbelt City Council made a commitment to contribute $1 million to the Huron River RCPP. We have until 2022 to make good on that match. And this is one of the projects that would have put us on a good timeline for fulfilling that commitment to the Huron River RCPP. And we have only 2 other prospects in the pipeline for preliminary consideration right now. So in terms of a 2019 fiscal year RCPP project to fulfill that commitment, it was a good match.
And I'm sorry, you said till 2020?
2022.
2022.
We have to, put forth the $1 million commitment we made.
Right. Okay.
And leverage the funds available through the RCPP.
Right. Well, we've collectively in this conversation, it feels like, come up with at least 3 or 4 sound bullet points beyond Julie's great and leading one, which is that we reach out and ask our council members why they voted against. Remy, is it too much to ask that maybe we could follow up with you to refine these, and that you share them, and then in the coming days we might have 3 or 4, and they don't have to dictate how we talk to our council members, but your recent point about the RCPP match and the opportunities there would be one that I'm going to carry to the 2 I'm talking to. So does that make sense as a next step? We send him some collective ideas, and that you send back to us 3, 4, whatever makes best sense for us to kind of all have when we do our outreach.
May I just suggest when you do that it's not just, everyone bringing up the same points. I think it's really effective when it comes from like, this is why this is important to me. And because if council members feel like they're just getting like a cut and pasted form letter, they tend to just feel like, oh, that's just some bot that just did that, So So if it can,
Yeah, no, I mean
I'll be the
for our
bot, you be the
individual
human.
conversations. I
Yeah,
don't mean that
absolutely.
anything should get
Yeah.
put into a
right,
And this is pretty easy.
petition or an email.
yeah.
If you live in the 2nd, 4th, or 5th ward, both of your representatives on council voted against this. 2nd, 4th, and 5th.
Okay, anybody have anything else to add on this topic? Okay. Thanks, Remy.
Yeah.
Moving on is next agenda items, and I would like to, for the next meeting, have this topic as an agenda item, so if we could just make a note of that. And then the next item is closed session to discuss land acquisition, and I think we need to take a vote to go into closed session, so does someone want to make a motion to go into closed session?
I so move.
Is there support?
Support.
All those in,
Oh,
did we do
roll call.
Roll call. Thank you, Melissa. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Fike?
Yes.
Commissioner Ramsberg?
Yes.
Commissioner Cares?
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon?
Yes.
Commissioner Grand?
Yes.
Commissioner Stoffer?
Yes.
Commissioner Pearlman?
Yes.
Commissioner Schuler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, do we have any motions from the closed session?
I would like to make such a motion.
Okay,
I would move to recommend city participation with Scioto Township and Washtenaw County Parks and Rec Department in the acquisition of a conservation easement on the property identified in application ID 2018-11, and approval of the contribution of funds up to 1/3 of the purchase price, but not to exceed $100,000 from the Open Space and Parkland Preservation Millage, contingent upon participation by Washtenaw County.
is there support?
Support.
Thanks, Stephanie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Robert and everyone. Next item is public commentary, and we have no public just that is in the audience. Next item is communications. Is there a report from the Communications Committee? Not at this time.
No.
Okay. The next item is report from commission committees, and the executive committee is the first committee, and we did, I can provide that update since Stephanie is not here. We met on January 3rd to discuss the agenda for this meeting and to talk about potential projects. We also received updates from Remy on projects that are scheduled to close, and we also discussed GAC member term expiration dates, which coming up, Remy mentioned that members are allowed to serve 3 terms on the commission.
One partial term and 2 full terms, or 3 full terms?
Great, yes. He shared with us the term ending dates for various members as well. So I would recommend if you could share that with all the commission members too. And I think it would potentially change if, what their current expiration date is and if they agree to serve another term. Okay, and there was no communications committee report, and that is it as far as the agenda. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support?
Seconded.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.